Hi everybody, it's Rebecca Virginia, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you some snowman DIYs that are perfect to leave up all winter long. The first DIY that I'm going to share with you is this sock snowman scene. Here are all of the supplies that you'll need to recreate this adorable DIY on your own. So in a couple of my DIYs today, we are going to be using some socks from the Dollar Tree. They are just a really easy way to create a snowman. So first off, I turned my sock inside out, and then I'm going to be cutting at the heel. And when you turn the sock inside out, it has this really cute kind of fuzzy texture that looks very adorable on the snowman. So that's why I did that. Then I took some of these marbles that I got at the Dollar Tree and put these down in the bottom of our sock snowman, and this is going to be what weights him down so that he can stand up on his own. I filled the sock up with some pillow stuffing, and then to tie up the top I just used one of these clear elastic hair ties. And then I took a piece of fleece that I had left over from some sewing projects, and I just wrapped that around what I want to be his head. And these ornaments from the Dollar Tree are so perfect for snowman. I'm going to be using it actually twice in today's video. And for this first one, I am actually going to be putting it on a wood dowel. I just cut down a wood dowel from the Dollar Tree, put that into the hat, and then opened up the top of my snowman and stuck the hat down. You are going to need just a little bit of hot glue to make sure the hat stays in place, and then we can move on to our snowman's face. For the snowman's eyes, I took these gold push pins and just cut off the pokey part so that it was just more like a button, and used a black Sharpie to paint it black. And then for my snowman's nose, I took some of the earplugs from the Dollar Tree and just cut one of the earplugs into this carrot shape and hot glued it on there. It was the perfect shade of orange, so it was great to use that instead of drawing on my snowman's nose. For his arms, I just grabbed some twigs from outside, and what I'm doing is snipping a small hole in the side of our snowman, and then when I put the stick in his side, I am going to use a little bit of hot glue to not only hold the stick in place, but also to close up around the hole that I made in the sock. And now I'm going to take a brief break from the snowman and focus on the scene that he is going to be placed in. So I'm taking one of these wood trays from the Dollar Tree and some brown stain, and I am just staining the entire wood tray. Then I got these wood snowmen for the holidays at the Dollar Tree, and I thought I would just use them as they're intended, as, you know, painting them like a snowman, but I thought that they would make amazing legs to go on the bottom of this. So first I am staining all of them, and it's a little bit difficult, so I definitely got very messy because there are so many little grooves in this snowman. So I really had to use my fingers and get messy there. But after I stained all 4 snowman and let those dry, I am then going to be hot gluing them onto the bottom section of our wood tray, and the snowman, when they're upside down, look like amazing furniture legs for this wood tray. I didn't love the cutout stars on the sides of this wood tray, so to cover those up, I got some snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. They came in a large pack, and I just hot glued those to cover up the stars. Now that the wood tray is complete, it's time to start filling up our scene. So first off, I placed in our snowman because we're really going to be building the scene around him. Then I took some of this pillow filler. I had a large bag of it that I got at Joann's Fabric, but you can always take apart an old pillow or head on over to Joann's. It's not that expensive, and you can get a large pack of it to use for all your future projects too. I placed this down so it would look like snow or ice, and then this large pick I got from the Dollar Tree in one of their floral arrangements, and I hot glued that to the front of the wood tray. And then I added one of these little chalkboard tags from the Dollar Tree with a snowflake sticker. And of course, because the snowman is magical, he does not have to worry about melting from this little tea light fire. So I placed that to the side of him. I thought it was a cute touch. And then as the final piece, I had this kind of icicle. I wasn't even sure what it's from. I've had it in my storage for a pretty long time. It must have come off some floral pick, and I thought this would look like ice, so I just laid this down over the snowman scene to complete it. The next Snowman DIY is a faux birchwood snowman, and the best part of it is there is no paint involved. Here are all of the supplies that you'll need to create this snowman on your own. For this DIY, I am taking one of the pool noodles from the Dollar Tree, and I cut it into 3 different sections, all getting a little bit smaller in length. Then I've seen some DIYs where you can make the faux birchwood snowman using a painting technique and tissues, but I really didn't have the time to be spending on all of that painting and that technique. So I decided that I was just going to take this birchwood paper that I got at Hobby Lobby and cover the pool noodles. So you'll see to cover the end parts of the noodles, I just traced out a circle, and then I just used a glue stick to adhere that down onto our pool noodle. Then I measured out, just by wrapping the paper around the pool noodle, how long and how wide of paper that I would need to fit each noodle. And to get it to stick to the pool noodle, I am taking some Mod Podge and just placing the pool noodle onto the paper and slowly rolling it up. My pool noodle sizes were 4, 6, and 8 inches, but you can make this smaller or much larger. It really just depends on your preference. And I am once again on the last 2 pieces of pool noodle, applying the Mod Podge and then rolling the paper onto the noodle. Once the Mod Podge is all dried, it's time to start stacking together our snowman. And I did this by just putting down some hot glue and placing the noodles on top of one another. Once they are stacked on top of one another, you will notice that it's unable to stand up on its own. So to fix this, I took 2 pieces of garland from the Dollar Tree garland picks and just wove them together, and this is going to create a little barrier around our snowman to help him stand up. I folded a sock down in half to create our snowman's hat. This is one of the Snugadoo socks from the Dollar Tree. And then I placed that over about 3/4 of our top pool noodle. For the snowman's arms, I grabbed some twigs from outside and some hot glue to place them on the side of his body. They were able to hold up with the hot glue. I just had to hold them until the glue dried. Then for his eyes, I just went in with a black marker and some orange paint for his nose. Next, I went back in with that paint marker and added a smile to him. And for his coat buttons, I took some real black buttons and applied that with some hot glue. Lastly, I placed him back into his garland so that he could stand up and added 2 little pine cones from a floral pick to the side of his garland. I hate to play favorites in my DIY videos, but I think this adorable sock snowman on a sled has got to be my favorite in this entire video. If you want to recreate this adorable and rustic snowman, here are all of the supplies that you're going to need to make him. I started off this DIY by staining one of the wood sleds from the Dollar Tree. Then you're going to need 2 socks. So that extra portion that we didn't use in our first DIY is going to be what you need for this one. But in case you decided not to do the first DIY, I'll just pretend that we are starting new. So you're going to cut off the sock at the heel and you're going to be using the longer portion. Then that top band around the sock, kind of what makes it like a tube sock, you're going to cut off. We'll be using that in just a bit. And then I'm going to bunch the sock up at the top and secure it together with a clear elastic before flipping it inside out. Just like we did in our first DIY, I'm filling it with these glass marbles from the Dollar Tree so that it can stand on its own, and then filling it with some pillow filling before bunching it together and tying it off with another clear elastic. To make a more distinct area between the snowman's head and his body, I took a rubber band and wrapped it around twice. And now we're going to move on to making our snowman hat. This is when we're going to need that top two portion of the sock as well as the top portion of another sock. I chose this black one, and this is going to be our hat. So I'm bunching it together at the top, and you guessed it, taking another clear elastic to secure it in place. And then as the cuff on the hat, I'm going to be taking that tube sock portion and pulling that down, and that's going to create the brim of his little hat. And you could just leave the clear elastic as what's holding his hat together, but I wanted to make it a little bit more rustic and cute, so I wrapped some jute around the top and tied a bow. Next, I moved onto his scarf, and his scarf is actually just some scrap fabric that I had. Thought it was very cute and went with the snowman Christmas theme, so I just wrapped that a bunch of times around between his head and his body, and then I just tied it off and trimmed any of the excess. So for his face, I'm doing the exact same thing as I did on my previous sock snowman. I'm taking the push pins, I markered them with some black marker, and then I also used the earplug as a nose. But you will notice in the later clips, I decided I wasn't really feeling the face. It was very cute, but I wanted this to be a bit more timeless and rustic, so I did end up removing his face, but you can choose, you can leave it on, or you could go like me and also just have a blank face snowman, but I did add some little jingle bells that I painted brown onto his body, and then I used some floral pick as an arm, and as his hand, I stained one of my wood stars, and I'm using the same technique as the twigs though, hot gluing it on after I have snipped a little hole in the side of my snowman, and then hot gluing it and pinching the side closed over his arm. Next, it was time to decorate the sled, and I did this by taking two of the garland picks from the Dollar Tree and hot gluing those on top. I also hot glued a little pine cone to the side of the sled, and I took another twig and hot glued that to my other side of my snowman so that his arm was out, and then I could place the reins of the sled right on top of his arm so it really looked like he was driving the sled. My next DIY is a super quick and easy one, and it is making a snowman out of a wine glass. Here are all of the supplies that you'll need so that you can recreate this adorable snowman project on your own. Originally, I was going to do this project by painting the inside of my wine glass white, which you could still do, but I forgot that I had this cool fake snow, so I decided to use that instead. So I'm taking some of my spray adhesive, spraying all around the inside of the wine glass, and then taking this faux snow and just sprinkling that around the inside of our wine glass to make it white and give that snowy effect for our snowman's face. But again, if you didn't want to do this step, it is a little bit messy just because you're using the spray adhesive. You could always just paint the inside with some white paint. And I also did the same to the bottom area of our snowman, lightly spraying it this time and putting a bit of a lighter coat so that our wine glass could still stand up on its own. I moved on to painting our snowman's face, and the only difficult part here is because it's a wine glass, it was kind of rolling around on me, so that's why I placed ribbons on either side of it so it wouldn't move around quite as much. And I just used paint. You could use a paint pen or a marker as well, but I didn't have any in this orange color, so I just wound up making my snowman's face using paint and this dotting tool. For his hat, I took another one of these hat ornaments from the Dollar Tree. They are so great if you're going to be making a lot of snowman projects. Definitely pick up a couple. And I put some hot glue down on the top of my wine glass and then popped the hat on. For the last step in our snowman wine glass, I took some red and black buffalo check ribbon from, of course, the Dollar Tree and made a bow and then hot glued it onto the stem of our wine glass. Next is a DIY that I saw last year but just ran out of time to complete it, so when the holiday season came around, I knew I had to make this snow baby. Here's what you need to make it. Alright, so we're going to be making a quick and easy, adorable snow baby. So I started with these white ornaments from the Dollar Tree. It came 2 in a pack, but I'll just be showing you how to make one snow baby, but you can make as many as you want. And then these really cute Snugadoo fuzzy baby socks. So you saw that I took the ornament section out of the actual ornament, and then I just popped the baby sock onto the ornament a little bit lower in the back and higher in the front. And because it was this fuzzy fleece material, I did have to hot glue it down onto the ornament in a couple places. Then I took some of this green yarn and I tied it around the top area of the ornament so you can kind of start to see the hat getting formed. And I made a loop in the back, and that's what I'll use to hold it on my Christmas tree. Then it was time to make the face, and I kept it a pretty traditional snowman looking face, just using black paint and orange paint. And my dotting tool, I got this one off Amazon, but I have seen the Dollar Tree start to sell them. And to kind of cover up a little bit of the green yarn, I wanted my snow baby to have a little white bow, so I just grabbed some ribbon and made a quick bow. And then to create the fun part of the winter hat, I just got my scissors and started cutting it down so that it was a floppy winter hat. My last DIY looks great hanging off the Christmas tree, but you can also leave it up all winter long. Here are the supplies that you'll need to make this DIY. During Halloween, the Dollar Tree came out with these signs. They were 2 in a pack. So I just covered this using some really cute snowman scrapbooking paper that I grabbed from Hobby Lobby. Then I took one of these snowman wood ornaments from the Dollar Tree and I decorated it with paint, some burlap fabric, gave him a scarf, and also a couple of embellishments. Planning on hanging this off my office doorknob during the winter season, but for now I'll be hanging it on my Christmas tree, but either way it needs a tie. So I grabbed some blue ribbon and that's what I'll be using to hang it. Thanks for watching. I hope that you enjoyed all of these winter DIYs that you can leave up in the colder weather months. Until next time, keep searching, keep creating.